I'm Frank Garza, and welcome to Here and Abroad, a podcast that follows the U.S. men's national team and their player pool across Europe, MLS, or wherever else they play their club football. The U.S. men's team is into the knockout round of the Olympics. They booked their ticket on Tuesday with a 3-0 win against Guinea, which put them in second place in Group A behind France. The U.S. will now move on to the quarterfinals, where they will play Morocco this Friday, August 2nd at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. And on today's show, I'm going to share 3 quick thoughts on the U.S. men's Olympic team. I'll look at their group stage performance, some players that have stood out so far, and then I'll look ahead to their matchup against Morocco. So let's start with their group stage performance. First, they lost their first match 3-0 to France. Then they beat New Zealand 4-1, and they just beat Guinea 3-0 today, which is Tuesday as of when I'm recording this. That was enough for 6 points and a second place finish in Group A. So let's start with that France game. They lost 3-0, but that match was, I think, a lot better for the U.S. than the score looks. I mean, first of all, France is one of the favorites to win this whole thing, to get the gold medal. They're the host nation, so they have a lot of fan support behind them. They're loaded with talent. This match was scoreless up until the 61st minute when France got their first goal. Then the U.S. very nearly got an equalizer. They had several really great opportunities to do that, didn't get it done. France gets their second goal at the 69th minute, and after that, the game got away from the U.S. a little bit. But I would say the first 70 minutes of this match was really close, really back and forth. This was definitely not one of those cases of France just kind of knocking on the door for a goal for the first 70 minutes and the U.S. trying to hold on. I thought it was a very evenly played match. And if you look at the expected goals that I saw, France had 0.43 expected goals. The U.S. had 1.2. So what does that tell you? That France did a lot more with their chances than the U.S. did. I don't think you're going to see it very often where a team has a 0.43 goal differential and they end up with 3 goals. And so I just think this, again, is a testament to this was not a blowout like maybe the score indicates. France just did a lot with their chances. The U.S. didn't take advantage of theirs, and then the game got away from them after the first couple goals were scored. And again, this is probably the best team, if not, definitely one of the best teams. The U.S. hung in there, and I don't think the players walked away from this match thinking, "Oh, we can't play with a team like France." Probably the opposite. They say, "Hey, we hung with them for a long time. It was just a matter of us, making a few mistakes and not taking advantage of our opportunities." And then the 2 matches against New Zealand and Guinea, the U.S. was certainly favored to win both of these matches. And I give them credit for going out there and doing what they were supposed to do against those teams. When I look at the U.S., men's senior team, a lot of times they don't do what they're supposed to do against these teams that they're supposed to beat, and they get themselves into a bind. Just look at, Panama in the most recent Copa America, almost losing to Jamaica in the semifinals of the CONCACAF Nations League earlier this year. So this U.S. team went out and did what they needed to against New Zealand and Guinea. Both games mattered. And at the end of the day, the U.S. got through this group very comfortably. It really wasn't in doubt, especially today. Next, let's talk about some of the players that have stood out to me. And really, the players that I'm most excited about so far in the Olympics is essentially the 3 that started across the front line in Tuesday's match against Guinea: Griffin Yao, Paxton Aronson, and Kevin Paredes. Let's talk about Griffin Yao first. He's a player I'm really excited about because it's really his rise over the past year. It's his trajectory that I'm excited about. So this was a guy probably a year ago I would say was probably on the bubble of even making this Olympic team. But he had a great year at Westerlo in the Belgian Pro League, scoring 7 goals, getting 7 assists. He, of course, made the Olympic team, started on the bench the first 2 games. but when he came out in the field, looked really great. Earned himself a start today. And if you watch the broadcast, I mean, Tim Howard was just raving about this guy throughout the first half. He was direct. He was all over the field. He was a menace to the Guinea defense. And so I just think this guy's rise, his trajectory is really exciting. Paxton Aronson, what I've liked about him is he has a burst of speed when he gets on the ball, and I just see him blow past people. Whether he can do that at the senior level, against better talent, other fast players, we'll see. But in this Olympics, I've just really liked seeing him get on the ball, turn and just accelerate and blow past people. He plays the entire match with a really high intensity, seems to have a motor on him that can go nonstop, much like his brother. And just have really enjoyed, watching him play. And then Kevin Paredes, he's a guy that I thought in the first two matches maybe started out a little bit slow, didn't do a whole lot, but today he got 2 goals against Guinea. One of them was when he was making a good run, got a pass to him in the box, and then just finished. But the second one, he really made that goal happen with his dribbling and his quickness. He found himself some space inside the box, put a shot into goal with a lot of power behind it. And so I give him a lot of credit for just making it happen on that second goal. So what excites me about these 3 players, first of all, these are 3 young players. Griffin Yao is 21, Aronson's 20, Paredes is 21. All 3 of them are already in Europe. Griffin Yao at Westerlo in Belgium, Paxton Aronson, he's going on loan with Utrecht in the Dutch league this year. And then Kevin Paredes plays with Wolfsburg in the Bundesliga. The U.S. senior team has a hard time scoring goals at times. And so when I see 3 young attacking players like this that are making things happen on the field, scoring goals, that is exciting, for me. And they're doing it on a big stage in these Olympics. Aronson and Paredes appear to be set for the next European season at their clubs. But there's talk about Yao getting a transfer from Westerlo to one of the bigger clubs in Belgium. I've seen him linked to Anderlecht, who's one of the bigger sides in Belgium, definitely the most historic club in Belgium. It would be great after this performance in the Olympics to see him make a move like that and to be playing at a higher level than he is at Westerlo, which is more of a mid to bottom table of the team in the Belgian Pro League. At least they were last season. Okay, and then finally I want to look ahead to the knockout rounds. So the U.S. is going to play Morocco in the quarterfinals this Friday. If they win, they'd play in a semifinal against either Spain or the winner of Group D, which is likely going to be Japan. By the time you're, listening to this, you'll probably already know that for sure. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we have to play Morocco. So Morocco got here by winning Group B. They beat Argentina 2-1 in that wild game where they left the field, came back like over an hour later and had to finish. They lost 2-1 to Ukraine, and they beat Iraq 3-0. In terms of their players, probably the most well-known is Hakimi. He's one of their overage players. He's a right back who plays for PSG, so a really well-known player, internationally. Other than that, I don't know a lot about their players, but I took a look at their starting lineup against Iraq, their most recent match, and I just looked at where all the different guys are playing in their starting 11, and most of them are spread out amongst the European leagues in Belgium, Spain, France. No top clubs. I didn't see any really high elite clubs for those players. But just like the U.S., they have these are young players, a lot of them playing, in Europe and competing against that level. And then Morocco has a good recent footballing history as a nation. I mean, They made the semis at the last World Cup, losing to France. Now they're into the quarterfinals of the Olympics, having beat Argentina along the way. And so, I think a lot of folks thought that if the U.S. made the knockout rounds, they would be playing Argentina. So maybe this might seem like an easier match. Maybe mentally it might be for the players, not having to go against such a big name like Argentina. But I think this is going to be a really tough game. I would imagine goals are going to be really stingy against Morocco. The U.S. is going to have to take advantage of the few opportunities they'll likely get. And I think that'll probably be the difference in the match, is if the U.S. can do that. So there you go. We'll see what happens on Friday. I'm excited to see what this young team can do. Thanks to everyone for listening to Here and Abroad. If you enjoyed the episode, please do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or that follow button if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or somewhere else. Thanks so much. I'm Frank Garza. You can follow me on X at FrankGarza007, and I'll be back next week with a new episode.